Hi, I'm Kesenya and welcome to this week's astrology weather forecast. There is so much going on in the sky. It's going to be a very interesting week, especially coming on the back of last weekend's new moon, which was a very exciting time. I've been encouraging my clients to do ceremony at the new moon in order to assist and help with the Pluto South Node conjunction that we're all feeling the weight of right now. But there's still so much more happening. There's always something to focus on every week in astrology, and it is a big time from the 8th of May through to the 15th of May. We're going to be looking at some important stuff. But before we get stuck in, I just want to promote again, if I could, my astrology wheel. I have been delighted to see so many people utilizing the wheel on YouTube now. It's very exciting because it's helping us to all learn. We all learn from one another. Astrology can be a very supportive environment to work in, especially the YouTube astrologers. We all collaborate and look out for one another where we can. It's great. And to see people utilizing this is wonderful because it gives so much clarity in this visually oriented society that we live in to understand and see things and know how they work. I just want to encourage people, if you are looking at purchasing one, an idea to make it easier for you in your presentations might be to get one of these little fellows from your cooking store. It's just a plate holder, and you can stick your astrology wheel on it and then pop it on a shelf next to you so your hands are free and you can, draw on your little astrology wheel or whatever. Another idea that you might be interested in utilizing is, if you have an astrology wheel, is to stick a hook on the back here so you can hang it on the wall perhaps, and then you'll be free to sort of spin it as you need and point to whatever planet needs referencing, and if you want to use your little whiteboard marker to make notations and so forth on it as well. So there's just a couple of ideas for how you can use it better. If you would like to buy one of these, they are for sale. In fact, they're on special at the moment as a special deal in the lead up to June. In fact, I'll have them on special until the retreat Lada is offering in Bulgaria begins. So pop over to my readers page on Astrolada or shoot me a message somehow, and I will certainly let you know where and how you can purchase one of these wheels for your own astrology YouTube channel, or just to have in the home as a reference tool or something of entertainment and enjoyment in your life. So thank you for the chance to share that little bit of marketing. So let's get started with what is coming up in this week's sky. Well, lots of the action is occurring on May the 8th. That's when we're going to notice things really starting to heat up in a way. And then on the 10th of May, we've got a really big collaborator, if you want to call it that, with this Saturn-Pluto South Node connection. Most of my astrology reports online for the coming year are going to be, or roughly, are going to be talking about this Saturn-Pluto South Node piece that's playing out, because it is just so powerful. And I want to spell out, before I get stuck into the energies of this week, we have all incarnated here with a very special purpose to be here for this time, this point in time. It's a 1 in 500 year transit that we see Saturn and Pluto together in the sign of Capricorn. And so our souls have elected to join the world at this point with a very special purpose and a reason, collectively and personally, to get rid of the outworn hierarchies and belief systems and structures in our own subconscious self from many incarnations, that it's time we're gotten rid of. It's time we're purged. So it is an important year. 2019 is a massive turning point for the planet and for us as individuals and as souls on a big picture journey through life on Earth. So I will be referring to that quite a bit as the as the year goes on. So bear with me on that one, but it's a really important component of the energy for the whole year long. So on the 8th of May, the first energy that we have got playing out is this lovely little piece down here. Moon conjuncting with Mars. Now this happens once a month, so it's an energy we experience every month, but it's still worth noting because it creates a lot of, well, we tend to notice this energy a lot. The moon's a very manifesting planet, and so when it connects with another planet in the sky, we really do tend to feel it. So this is going to give us, on this day, the 8th of May, a feeling of being really strong, a bit invincible. You know, the moon is our emotions and our feelings, and Mars is this warrior energy. It's the Wonder Woman, it's the superhero, it's all these really cool invigorated energies. And so we're actually going to be feeling really invigorated, really strong and invincible and powerful. You know, we're going to be Wonder Woman running across the battlefield, and, you know, we'll be able to go into the fray courageously like we may not be able to at other times during the month. So if you have to face some sort of difficult situation this month, May the 8th is a really good day to instigate that. It will give you more courage than you might otherwise usually feel. You're also going to feel more sexy, more desirable, because Mars is the planet of sex and the moon's how we feel. So if you need a bit of courage in the bedroom, you can certainly amp it up on this day and enjoy a bit of, I won't use bad words, I will enjoy a bit of fun in the bedroom and desirable, yeah, you'll be able to get your desirable kid on, so to speak. And also if you're single, you know, you are going to feel more sexy generally as well. And this might correlate to feeling like, you know what, I feel courageous tonight. I'm going to go out and meet somebody. I'm going to go out and on that date with that guy I met on the internet that I've been putting off because I'm just not confident, or I've got this issue and that issue. And you just get your courage up and you're like, you know what, I'm feeling sexy today. I'm feeling like, yeah, bring it on. And out you go on your date, or you go out to a bar, or you know, go out with your girlfriends clubbing or something, and, you know, you really get your sexy on. So it's really a great fun day for that sort of energy. You're going to also have the capacity to be a bit defensive of your home environment. So the moon represents our home and our physical bricks and mortar home, and Mars is that defensive, I will protect my territory kind of warrior energy. So you will, you know, it's not that you're going to have reason to protect your home and your land and that sort of thing, but you will feel more like it. So maybe if you've been facing some sort of court case over, say, a bathroom renovation or something, you will feel very brave and very powerful and very, very much like initiating, you know what, that guy diddled me out of $6,000 for my bathroom renovation, I'm taking him to court. You're going to feel more defensive of your home environment and the things that occur there. So, you know, if somebody graffitis your front fence, you know, you'll go track them down and look out. Or, you know, you're just going to have this more protective motivation towards your home. And this includes family and community and heritage and roots and lineage, all these things that the moon rules as well. So you'll be more defensive, maybe a bit more patriotic about, you know, the country of origin. You might feel a bit more defensive regarding your family heritage as well, and the traditions of your family. So these sorts of things you might note are coming up for you on May the 8th. Watch out for any feelings of being a bit over impatient or a bit irritable, letting irritable emotions bubble up in you. It's a sign that when that happens with this connection, it's a sign that you need to maybe slow down and relax a bit. So if you find yourself getting ticked off with somebody at work, or your kids really driving you up the wall or something, you need to take some space. You need to allow that time to slow down and relax. Go and soak in the bath, or take a walk, do something, you know, Mars like, you know, a bit more energetic perhaps than soaking in the bath. The moon would like soaking in the bath. It rules, it's connected to water and the Cancer, the water sign. But Mars is a bit more invigorated. So either way, horses for courses, whatever does it for you that helps you to slow down and relax. Some people might choose to go for a big walk, and that's diffusing for somebody to do that. So it all depends what does it for you to help you slow down and relax. Now, to avoid going off half-cocked in life, or, you know, if you need to cool down your feelings of agitation, like I've just described, it's really important to channel the energy of productivity, and you could do this by cleaning your house. Mars would be working with tools and implements such as mops and brooms and window washers and stuff, and the moon is your home. So you could actually channel this energy into cleaning your home as a way to stave off, you know, that agitation that can sometimes arise. Get out your tool, your actual like hammer and nails and nail gun and whatever other fabulous tools that you have, Mars rules tools, and get stuck into your home, you know, fix that loose barge board, or you know, get your paintbrushes out and paint that windowsill that's been, you know, peeling for months. And you can do these sorts of things under this influence. You will actually find that it will be therapeutic for you to do these sorts of things. Give your partner a foot rub. That's another thing that you can do. The moon's often connected to our relationships, because obviously relationships are quite emotionally based. And Mars is, you know, activity and exertion. So get in and give a really vigorous foot rub or massage to your partner, and you'll alleviate that energy. Cook something, especially something like the moon is hospitality and cooking, and especially something that requires the use of knives or kitchen utensils, which is what Mars rules. So, you know, get in and make a stir fry and chop up all the carrot and the capsicum and all that sort of stuff, and or a salad or something that requires a bit of, you know, the dexterity of using kitchen implements and kitchen tools. That can alleviate a lot of the frustration that Mars can sometimes bring at an emotional level when he connects with the moon. So they're just some ideas for how you can work with the energy. Now the next energy that we want to take a big peek at is this one here. Now this is an annual energy, where this one here, the moon and Mars, that happens once a month. So we can expect to have these feelings and these experiences once a month. They're actually quite familiar to us, but we want to be able to work with all the energies in a wise, empowered, knowledgeable way. So that's why I'm offering this information, even though it's a regular experience, monthly experience. But this one is an annual experience. Mercury conjunct with Uranus. So it only happens once a year. It's a bit rarer, and therefore it's a little bit more unfamiliar than, say, Mars moon energy. So what does this mean? This is happening also on May the 8th as well, the conjunction here. So what it indicates is mental activity. Both these planets are mental. In fact, Mercury is the lower octave of Uranus. So they both represent similar themes, similar ideas, similar things, but one is at a very personal, intimate level, Mercury, and Uranus is, unless it's conjunct with the sun or the moon, which would make it a very personal planet to you, other than that, it's actually a much broader, bigger picture energy in that communications and intellectual plane, like Mercury is. So it's the higher octave and sort of, I guess, the wiser, up-leveled, more, hopefully, more enlightened energy of similar to Mercury. So what's going on this day, May the 8th, apart from Mars moon? We've got a stimulation in our thinking, because Uranus is, it shakes things up, it changes things. It's about releasing outworn things, it's about invigoration, it's about liberation, setting free, it's about changing the status quo in order to help us be free and be liberated, essentially. So your thinking, which is Mercury, is going to be stimulated, it's going to be shaken up, it's going to become more liberated and a little bit more rebellious even, actually. And your communication style might even become a little bit more Uranian, which we'll go into in a minute. You may get light bulb moments. In fact, you could almost guarantee you're going to get some sort of a like, aha, now I understand why XYZ is happening in my life. Or now I finally figured out how to find a solution to that mathematics problem that I've been working on for school. Now I figured out a scientific reason why, I don't know, XYZ is not working, and you find a solution to some science issue that you've been dealing with at school. Science and maths are very much connected to Uranus, whereas Mercury is much more communications and writing and speaking, etc. So you're going to get light bulb moments in these realms when the thinking and communicating connects with Uranian insights and divine downloads. Uranus, in fact, all the celestial planets, Uranus, Neptune and Pluto, are very psychic. And so to have this connection happening, you're going to get information from divine realms, from the angelic realms. It's like, aha, now that makes sense. Oh, I've got goosebumps. Yes, that thought process that I had, I know that's on the money because my body's electrical system is telling me, yes, this is right. That's what we note when we have goosebumps. It's our body's electrical systems, which are ruled by Uranus, giving us the hey-ho, thumbs up. Yep, that thought that you just had, that's correct. Run with it. So if you get goosebumps around this time, May the 8th, over anything you're thinking about, or anything you read, or anything you listen to that just gives you a sense of epiphany or an insight of some sort, or a light bulb moment, and you get goosebumps, then you know you're on the right track. You know you're on a winner, because Uranus is giving you that information because of the connection he has to your body's nervous system as the ruler of that. You might actually be easily distracted from conventional learning processes at this time. So, you know, it's not a really great time to be doing exams and so forth, or trying to produce, as I will be this week, some kind of assignment or, you know, traditional approach to learning. It's much more connected to unconventional things, Uranus conjunct Mercury, and your learning processes will be much more unconventional. You're going to want to learn from experience and life immersion more than you will from a crusty old lecturer or a textbook or something like that. So if you get the opportunity to get out and experience life and discover through hands-on and experience, hands-on and physical experiences, and do so, because you will learn far greater than you will through conventional, dry, repetitive lectures that send you to sleep. So look for opportunities to do that, because conventional learning is not going to really cut the mustard this week. It's actually a great connection for people who are grappling with astrological concepts. Maybe, you know, you've always wondered about Saturn retrograde, and it's like, I can't get my head around how that applies to me. Okay, I've got Saturn retrograde in my chart. I know it's in the 4th house, but what does that actually mean for me? I've read so much data about it, but it's not gelling, and I can't see how that applies to my life. And suddenly you get this happening, the ruler of astrology connecting with the planet of mental processes, and ta-da, light bulb moment. Finally, I get that connection. I understand that concept and how it applies to me personally. So you can get very strong astrological insights at this time. In fact, this transit is just sensational for astrologers in general. We can, as astrologers, expect to be getting epiphanies on this day, but also the day before and the day after, when they're very tightly together in the sky. So watch out for that, and take note of when you get like an aha moment, an epiphany moment astrologically, and then share it on some platform so we can all learn. Watch out for foot in mouth, not foot in mouth disease, but foot in mouth moments as well. Try to think before you speak. Mercury is speaking, and Saturn tends to like jump in before, you know, it's sudden energy, it's quick energy, it's bang, 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 bang. And so before you've had a chance to process and think through what you're going to say, you say something, and then it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I just said that. What did I just do? You know, we've all had those moments in life. And it's doubly challenging this week because Mars and the Moon are together too on this day. And Mars is that energy of it's oh God, it's the energy of the warrior, but the fighter too. So we are feeling a bit fighty, you know, our emotions, you know, we talked about that being a bit amped up emotionally because of that energy, and we talked about going and doing some cooking or some house cleaning or something to alleviate that. If we don't channel those energies into positive, productive streams, then that can tie in with this conjunction, which is crazy, kooky thought processes that just come vomiting out of our mouth, and we're left in the wake of, oh my God, what have I just said? What have I just done? Who have I just offended? Watch out for that this week. It is one of the dangers of these current transits, especially with these two happening at the same time. So be careful, peeps. Don't go offending everybody. Also, there might be some sudden news. Mercury is news. Uranus is sudden things that happen out of the blue, unexpectedly, when you're not looking for them. And so there might be some sudden news that comes into your life personally that shocks you. Now, this will be very dependent on how this conjunction here is playing out in your own personal chart. So, look, if it was happening in the 3rd house for you, then it might indicate that some news regarding your small business might come to you that's rather shocking and unbelievable. If it was happening in your 7th house, well, it could indicate that some news about your marriage might come to you that's like, oh my God, that's shocking. And it doesn't have to be bad. It could be like, oh my God, I just heard that my husband's great uncle Louis has left him $1 million. Well, there's some sudden, shocking, unexpected news about your partner that's absolutely rip-roaringly wonderful. So, you know, we're not just talking about sudden, horrific news. Unfortunately, in our day and age, we see the news as being negative, as being bad, because that's what we see on TV and on, you know, Facebook and stuff like that. The news is always negative, but news can be great. News can be wonderful. News can be exciting and empowering too. So we can, depending on what is happening in your chart and the connections that this conjunction is making with personal planets, if there are no connections, this may not happen for you, but if there's connections to personal planets, you may very well get some sudden, shocking, invigorating news of either a really good nature or a really, oh my God, kind of, what's all that about nature? The other thing that we can see with this energy is it might be difficult to achieve perfection with fine details. And what I mean by that is in relation to communication. So signing of contracts, you know, you're trying to put together some sort of a contract between you and a business partner, or, you know, and you're going through the legalities with your lawyer, or you're writing it yourself, or whatever you're doing. It is going to be very hard on this day, May the 8th, to actually achieve perfection. And what I mean by that, world's very gritty, and perfection is not what we should be striving for. We should be just trying to do our best. Perfection is just ridiculous and overrated. When I'm using this term, what I'm meaning is you might be writing some sort of contract, for example, or some sort of agreement, or some sort of piece of communicative work, maybe doing a planning permit, or a some sort of engineering certificate or something, and you send it to the boss for approval, or to the lawyer for approval, some contract or something, and they come back and say, look, there's 10 spelling mistakes in that, and you're like, oh my God, okay, try again. You send it off again, it comes back, look, you've still got spelling mistakes. In fact, your grammar here is just rubbish, so please address that. And you're like, oh, over and over and over again, you may have to keep addressing problems with spelling, problems with the fine details of communication. So this is because wherever we're required to exercise our own thoughtful judgment on this day, we're just not going to have the patience for it. We're not going to have the Saturnian maturity for it, because Saturn's obviously not involved in this. This is Uranus, and he's quick and he's punchy and he's let's get the job done and let's just do it and come on and let's go. And so that's the energy that we're channeling, and the fine details get overlooked in our communications that are often very essential, especially in legal documents, contracts, agreements, you know, permits and things like that. So just, you know, watch out for that happening, and make sure, if you can avoid signing contracts for a day, then do it. Or if you can get somebody to double check things for you so that you don't miss something or make a mistake with something, it would be wise. It's not Mercury retrograde, don't worry about that, but there's still the potential that there could be some little hiccup regarding these things because of this energy of quickness. It's not that things go wrong, it's just the momentum and the change and the flow of Uranus is far more erratic. So the other thing that can happen is that where Uranus is concerned, people can come in to shake us out of a mental rut. So we might have been stuck in a thought pattern that was, you know, keeping us bondage for the year. You know, I know I can't go for that job because I just don't have what it takes. You know, I haven't got the ability to stand up in front of people and speak. So, you know, I'm not going to go for that job. And in comes Uranus and he says, don't be stupid. Here, I've actually, you know, I've written out your application for you. All you've got to do is sign it. Just do it. Just go. You've got nothing to lose. You know, somebody who really gets you out of that rutted mental way of thinking regarding anything, not just applying for a job, but anything at all. If you've got some outworn way of thinking that's holding you back, this connection, Uranus-Mercury connection, can say, whew, let's get out of there. Let's get out of this outworn way of thinking and let's turn things around. Let's change things. And whatever Uranus touches, you'll never go back. You'll never go back to being the same person again with whatever Uranus does in your life. You might, like for example, you might just say you had Uranus transiting your 7th house of marriage, and you meet, or love, let's say 5th house, and you meet somebody and you go on some dates and you've got a boyfriend and it lasts for 3 months and it's fantastic, and then it's all over again. You are actually not going to go back to the way you were before. You will have learnt something. You will have been shaken out of an old habit or an old way of being regarding being single, and you will be doing singleness in a brand new, fresh way that you've never done before because of this Uranian influence that occurred, say through a relationship with a highly Uranian person, or through a love affair that was instigated by a Uranus transit. Whatever Uranus touches, it will change us for the good and liberate us for the good for the rest of our lives, essentially. Whatever it breaks us out of, we never go back. So that's one of the cool things that I love about Uranus. Honestly, I could talk about Uranus till the cows come home, as they say. So you're going to have somebody come into your life, or you may have somebody come into your life with this transit who shakes you out of a mental rut, who shakes you out of an outworn way of thinking, and you're never going to go back to that old outworn way of thinking. You will change completely and break and sever the old bondages to that way of thinking, or to that mental rut that you were in. You're going to move forward and progress and be more liberated mentally. So go Uranus. He does some great stuff. Be doubly careful at this time around electronic equipment, especially communication equipment like computers, phones, anything that we use to communicate or even travel with as well that requires electricity. Maybe you've got an electric car. That would be something that would fall under this banner. Breakages and malfunctions can occur simply because things are just the energy is just too erratic on this day. So, you know, the electrical systems just might be outworn and outdated and not able to cope with the punchiness of the energy that is happening on this day. So what I mean by that is there might be an electrical storm in your area and all your computers go down, because Uranus rules electrical storms and Mercury is communication equipment. So there's nothing you can do about it, but just be aware that that can be one of the manifestations of this energy, where there is some sort of electrical malfunction, perhaps as a result of something that's ruled by Uranus, but that's one of the manifestations we can see. You won't be able to do anything about it, but you just have to flow with whatever happens, and keep in mind this little video that's giving you the heads up about that happening. Okay, the next energy that's really important, in fact, this is the big key one I want to talk about today. And this is, I'll move it around here. I hope it's clear for everybody. Yeah, it should be. Okay, this one I'm going to draw on the board. This is on May the 10th. We are having an exact square from this little planet Venus up here to Pluto at 23 degrees. Venus will be at 23 degrees of Aries, and Pluto will be at 23 degrees of Capricorn. Now, the couple of days preceding that, little old Venus will be squaring Saturn as well. So we're going to be feeling this energy sort of for the few days beforehand as well, because these guys are conjunct up here in Capricorn. This is the heavy duty stuff I spoke about at the beginning of the video. And it is making this square to Venus that is going to, Venus energy is going to play into this, or we're all going to feel the energy of this conjunction in our Venusian part of our life, which is love, which is romance, which is relationships, and which is money. So this is the area that we may very well feel the impact of Venus. The impact of the conjunction of Saturn, Pluto, and the South Node on our lives. So we're going to talk about this, and I will go through this for all signs. Sorry about my squeaky chair. I wouldn't mind getting some new Venusian possessions in terms of a nice chair to sit on for my readings. So if Pluto wants to transform that for me, he most certainly can. On May the 10th, this conjunction, this square is going to be taking place, and it is when we get, just say in the natal chart, or sometimes by transit too, when we have Venus making a square to Pluto, we can experience power and control issues in intimate relationships. Sometimes that happens by transit, so we might have a day where we're just, you know, butting heads with our partner, trying to sort of be in charge when this transit occurs, as it will be on May the 10th. Or if we've got it in our natal chart, we can also see ongoing power and control issues with partnerships and love relationships that we have. There can also be trust issues. Pluto as a planet has a great deal of trouble letting go and letting God and trusting. So Pluto represents a lack of trust, and usually that's come, if we've got it in the natal chart, it's come because of past life experiences where we couldn't trust people, where we were abused or maligned or exploited or something, and we learnt not to trust people. If we have Pluto and Venus making this aspect in the natal chart, that is one of the key manifestations that we see play out. And one of the challenges is learning to overcome the lack of trust in other human beings. That's a big one. Believe me, I know, I've got it in my chart. Jealousy, possessiveness, manipulation, and smothering in relationships. This can all happen on this day too, so watch out for that popping up in your life in some way. Also, with this transit, if you're in a relationship that's a bit volatile or a bit abusive or just a little bit struggling at the moment, this transit, which happens roughly, well, actually it's more than once a year, it happens twice a year, we can find that our relationships might begin to break down. It doesn't mean they'll end on this day, but if something's been floundering for a while, this isn't going to help. This will start to make it crumble a little bit more, actually. So you might end up having an argument or getting your knickers in a knot about something that's really just hammering away at the foundation of your relationship that maybe was a bit precarious to begin with. The other thing, though, that's the lower manifestation of this energy. The higher manifestation of this energy would be for Pluto to transform a relationship. So this could be a transformation where you're just like, you know what, dude, I'm sick of this crap in my relationship with you. I'm going to move out and get an apartment of my own. I don't want to break up. I don't want to end it, but I want to change the way we're doing this relationship because it's not working for us. So you know what, I'm going to go and get an apartment of my own. You can stay in this apartment. Happy to keep seeing you, but until we work out this rocky patch, I think we need to transform our relationship somehow or other. So it might instigate something like that happening. Some sort of transformation of the dynamics of your relationship might occur. Now, if new love arrives on May the 10th, watch out. It could arrive. It most certainly could be triggered by this transit, especially if this is doing specific special things in your natal chart and making connections with love houses and love planets in your natal chart. So if love does arrive, and it definitely could, it's going to be a highly transformative love relationship that you experience. So be aware, if that comes in at this time, the relationship's going to change you big time. And be also on the watch for the lower manifestation of new love in this regard, where it could be a relationship that has abusive tendencies. Unfortunately, that is the shadow side of Pluto. Yes, his empowerment, and yes, his personal power and self-assertion and self-will, but he's also abuse and control. So watch out if you start a new relationship. Be aware at this time on on or around May the 10th, be aware of any controlling, power-hungry, abusive tendencies that creep into that relationship. They're not going to be undone easily, and there may very well be a karmic purpose to uniting and connecting with the person who comes into your life, but just be aware it may be fraught with some really quite tenuous challenges. Okay, but above all, at this time, relationships are going to be deeply karmic. That's just the nature of Pluto. He is one of the most karmic planets in the skies, and he is the karma of trauma and suffering, actually. And if we have incarnated more than once on the planet, and I believe we all have, then we have a wound to our soul, some sort of karmic wound that we're carrying, and this connection between the two is going to bring that up in us. That karmic wound, especially any wounds connected to relationships or money. Excuse me. So any inner insecurities, any inner fears around self-worth, which is ruled by Venus, any insecurities and fears regarding your lovability, your ability to be loved and appreciated, any inner fears and insecurities stemming from past lives that have to do with relationship in general, these are going to bubble up to the surface. You might not know that they're karmic, but they most likely will be with this connection. So anything like this could bubble up, and you might be like, oh my God, where did that come from? I didn't know I could feel that way, or I didn't know that I had that insecurity deep within me, or that I had this feeling of I must control this situation. I've never felt like that before. You're going to find these insecurities really come up in you if they're present in your subconscious. But there is a purpose to this, you know. The universe really wants you to explore these feelings right now. If it does bubble up in you, don't shove it back down. My God, don't shove it back down. Pluto will be bringing it up so that you can deal with it and get rid of it and be free. And if you shove it back down, he's going to tear you apart trying to deal with that. So if you find yourself feeling like insecure, unlovable, why am I never, you know, why am I always single? What's wrong with me? I must not be very lovable. Well, you know, if you're thinking those sorts of stupid things, you need to let them come up and come out. Journal, write about them. Go and have a big old cry in the shower, weep, get it all out of you. Any of these feelings, they must come up and be faced and be dealt with in some way. Usually through therapy is a really good idea. There is purpose to this, so embrace it. Don't run away from it. Don't hide. Don't push it down. This is happening at this very important moment in time so that you can let it go. And as I said in the beginning, this is a once in 500 year opportunity for all of us. It's a massive karmic cleansing that we are going through as a collective and that we are going through individually right now. So whatever comes up on May the 10th, face it. Don't be afraid. If you can face the fears, which are represented by Saturn, and the karma that comes up that's traumatic for you by Pluto, and it'll all have to do with relationships with this transit. If you face this stuff, you will purge it. South Node, getting rid of, letting go of, releasing. You will be able to release it. You can only do that if you face it. If you're honest about how you feel, what you're thinking, what's deep within you. So I would really strongly encourage everybody at this time, if something comes up for you regarding relationship, then do therapy. Now that can be, it doesn't mean, and I say this to all my clients lately, it doesn't mean throwing big wads of cash on the couch of a psychologist. It's just doing whatever it takes to get those deep dark corners of your soul and your psyche out into the conscious awareness. So write, journal, pray, meditate on these things. Kickboxing is a great one. That's therapy, would you believe it or not? You know, it gets the anger. Maybe you're angry about some past life relationship experience where you're exploited or not valued or not honored, and it gives you the shits, and it keeps coming up and repeating in this lifetime now. Relationally, you get in those situations time and time and time again, and you're just absolutely fed up to the brim with it. Now go do some kickboxing. Think about those things all the time that shit you in relationships while you're doing your kickboxing, and that's therapy. Or grab a pillow off your bed and absolutely belt the crap out of it on your bed in fury for about a half hour until you've got no more energy to keep doing that, and let the fury and the rage about past life relationships or even this incarnation's relationships come out where it's not going to harm you anymore. And that's therapy. Like I said, crying in the shower. Or if you're more placid and this is, you know, you don't want to go down that road, then you could do art therapy and explore your subconscious through art therapy, an art therapy class, or a music therapy class, or a dance therapy class. But get the energy moving. Get the shitty past relationship with your self-worth, with partners, and with money out of your system right now, and the universe will purge it and set you free from it. It's really part of the purpose. Like I said, once in 500 year opportunity to restore our balance regarding karmically, regarding outworn hierarchies, which is Capricorn, and outworn legacies. This axis, Capricorn Cancer, is the axis of our heritage and our lineage and legacies and the things we're going to leave for the future, as well as the things that we've inherited from the past. So that's why this is so important. This is about our heritage from the past and what we are now going to leave for ourselves karmically for our future incarnations. So it's really important to address this right now, and we're looking at relationship issues this week on May the 10th because of this. Now, a lot of what you will let go of regarding relationships will depend on where your natal Venus, your natal Saturn, and your natal Pluto fall and what they're doing and telling you in your chart. Now, if you need a reading to understand that sort of thing, by all means pop over to my readers page and place an order. I would love to help you figure that out and look at those things. Just a heads up though, I am booked out very, very heavily at the moment. In fact, we're looking around mid-July before I'm going to be able to get to readings, because I thanks be to God, I'm doing really enjoying doing this work for people, and people are receiving it very well. But it means that there's a big wait time. So just a heads up on that. So a lot of what, like I said, you let go of is going to depend on these natal placements. I'll give you an example from my chart, which is not a pleasant one, so I'm happy to talk about it. Just to know you're not alone out there if you've got a really shitty Venus. It couldn't get worse than my shitty Venus. But my Venus is debilitated. It has only bad aspects. It's conjunct with Saturn, and it has a square from Pluto. So it's awful. And so this I know, because I understand what my Venus is doing in my natal chart, I know this is going to be a pretty shitty day for me. It's going to, well, maybe shitty is not the right word. It's going to be a day when I get the chance to release this shit, to be honest. If I do the work, if I purge, if I do the therapy, if I deal with this, then great things could actually come out of this for me. I could end up being released and freed and liberated from my quite crappy little natal Venus. So I'm going to work towards that end and work with that energy. I'm going to do therapy. I'm going to explore my, my attitudes, my inner hierarchical expectations of relationship. I'm going to look at the outworn legacies that might be present in my thought patterns, in my actual physical lineage with my family, this sort of stuff. I'm going to look at it all and get, go deep with it in whatever therapeutic ways I can manage, because I want to be freed. I want to be freed from my Venus and her condition in my natal chart. And the universe wants to support me in rising up. The condition, sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but the condition of my natal Venus is a result of my past life karmic experiences relationally. And I've come into this lifetime to work with this energy of Saturn, Pluto, and South Node. So I've come in to work with this so that I can be free for the future. So that's what I'm being called to address this week, to deal with my relationship karmic issues and attitudes and outworn situations and set myself free. So, what is your Venus doing in your chart, and what is your Saturn and Pluto doing that tells you what you need to be releasing this week as well? There's a big karmic purging. So I'm soul searching. I'm getting stuck into self-examination in preparation for this. And we all should be doing this. In fact, we all should be doing this all throughout 2019, because this is not the only song and dance we're going to see happening with this square here. There will come a time when Mars will make a square and the Sun will make a square, or every component is going to sort of interact with this activity at some point or another, and so it's really important to be preparing ourselves for that sort of thing by getting stuck into essentially the various different therapies out there we can do. Therapy can just be grabbing a cup of coffee with a girlfriend down the street and just purging your soul to her. I'm really struggling with this, or things aren't working out here, there, and the other place, and I have this attitude and I just don't know how to deal with this bad attitude that I've got. Or just getting it out from inside you is therapy in any way. So I want to talk now, I'm not going to talk about how this energy is going to play out for everybody in the various houses around the wheel, but what I will do is talk about Venus in your natal chart and what this might actually be triggering for you. So for example, if you have Venus in your first house in whole sign astrology, you might be dealing with this week on May the 10th power and control issues regarding yourself, i.e. taking your own power back, standing in your own power, asserting yourself. These issues might come up for you. You know, you might be in a situation where you're not used to asserting yourself. You're not used to putting appropriate boundaries in place and standing in your own power. You don't do that well usually, but a situation might come up this week if you have Venus in the first house that is saying you've got to do this. You must stand up for yourself. Don't let this opportunity pass you by where you do not assert yourself again. Change things, turn things around, assert yourself, put this power and control back in your own personal hands again. If you have Pluto in the second house, well, the power and control issues will be with resources. And so you might need to take your power back regarding money. There might be karmic issues regarding possessions, regarding wealth, and also self-worth is seen by the second house too. So you might have to deal with issues that crop up for you this week regarding power and control over those realms of life, your own power and control, or people asserting their power and control over you with regard to resources. That might come up. Just say, you know, some kind of a government authority starts giving you a really rough time about sort of, I don't know, making a payment to the tax guy or whatever, and they're saying you haven't done it, and you're like, I have, and so you have to assert your own sense of personal power about, yes, I have paid my tax this year, and here's the evidence to prove it. You know, that sort of situation might crop up where you've got to take your power back regarding resources, regarding self-worth too. The third house might see power and control issues popping up regarding maybe siblings. That's a third house thing. If Venus is in your third house, there could be issues regarding siblings this week and who's in charge and who's, you know, who's got the power and control within the siblings of the family. Or it could be a power and control issue connected to small business, because small business is seen in the third house, and you might have to, if you run a small business, you might find that you have to do some sort of assertion. There might be some karmic connection to being a merchant in a past life, even if Venus is in your third house, that you actually need to address. You know, maybe you had troubles as a merchant in a past life, and now you've got to overcome that repeating pattern so that it doesn't happen again in the future. So you have to assert yourself, or you have to take your power back regarding a small business, some sort of small business circumstance. So that could happen if you have Venus in the third house. If you have Venus in the fourth house, well, the power and control and self-assertion issues would be happening quite karmically with family. Family, heritage, roots, lineage, or it could be on a very broader, much broader scale, say issues with your country of origin. Maybe, you know, you've been sort of exiled from your family or something for no good reason, and you need to take your power back in that regard and develop relationship again. Maybe there is a circumstance, if Venus is in the fourth house, the way you have to reconnect with your heritage and your roots and your lineage in order to let it go, you know. So you need to pay a visit back home to the family farm or to the, you know, the town you grew up in order to reconnect and sort of cut and sever the ties, so that karmically there is no pull there for you any longer with those outworn past earlier life experiences, so to speak. So there might be something crop up regarding that sort of thing, you know, regarding having to sever some ties or transform relationships with family members, with parents even as well. If your Venus is in the fifth house, well, the issues can be connected to either children or your love life. This can be where you might need to purge and face your karma. Look, my Venus is in my fifth house, and my issue is love relationships. So that is where I can tell you I'll be doing the focus. There might be something come up in my life where I have to address how I mentally think about relationships and love, and what my perspective on love is. In fact, I can almost guarantee this will be where it goes for me, because I've been having triggered thoughts in those realms for the last 2 weeks, so I know it's building to something. So yeah, it could be If you've got Venus in the 5th house, it could be for you similar stuff where your attitude and your beliefs around love have to be purged and gotten rid of, and you have to develop a whole new perspective. That could mean that some you know, you go and see it could be something really simple. It doesn't have to be anything profound. You might go and see a movie at the cinema that's about a middle-aged love story. We don't see a lot of those, unfortunately. I wish we saw more, so that, you know, we have examples of stories where love can come in later age and it's not such an odd thing to think of. But you might go and see a middle-aged love story film at a cinema, and, you know, your whole perspective on what love truly is and what it looks like and what it can be is shifted phenomenally through that experience. It could happen as simply as that. It doesn't mean you've got to go through some traumatic experience, but your perspectives on love and your perspectives on children and relationship capacity with children, things might be severed there. Things might be changed. Things might be transformed so that you never go back. You know, purging old outworn belief systems regarding love and regarding the role of children in your life. Venus in the 6th house would be similar kind of things, taking your power back, taking you know, control of your own work situation, on your relationships with your subordinates, people who are your colleagues, or people who are perhaps lower than you on the social rung of things, you know, people who are less in less advantaged situations than you, like people in poorer countries, people who are struggling with their life circumstances. You might actually have to face something karmically regarding those sorts of things. You might actually be being asked to embrace you know, your personal power and control and your ability to get out of situations like that yourself. Maybe you're in a situation where things are not working right for you, and you know, you're not generating money to survive, which is a 6th house thing, or maybe there's a health issue and you have to Venus in this house can be calling you at this time when a square is made to Pluto Saturn for you to address those things and take your power back regarding your health, regarding your work life, regarding your relationships with your colleagues and people who are sort of lower than you on the social rung. Maybe you need to take your power back in those areas of life and start transforming your own life through your own assertion, through your own work. And these can be very karmic things. Maybe there's a karmic history of poverty, which is a 6th house thing. A karmic history of poverty that you've gone through time and time and time again over many, many lifetimes. And now it's about saying, enough already. I'm cutting the cords on that. I'm saying goodbye to any more poverty. I'm taking my power back regarding financial circumstances, and I'm not going to be poor again. And, you know, you look at your outworn belief systems around money and around having enough and surviving, etc., and you set yourself free, and the universe will support you because of this energy here, which wants to release you from what is holding you back. Then we look at if you've got Venus, this is natally, I might add too, in the 7th house, you're going to be looking similar to the 5th house at karmic ties that are stopping you from having your own power and your own sense of control regarding marriage relationships or committed relationships and business partnerships. So maybe in a marriage you have not had a sense of power or control, and someone has dominated you in a committed partnership. Maybe your marriage wasn't freely chosen even. And this has been an ongoing karmic pattern, repeating over many lifetimes, and now you are karmically here, incarnated in this once in 500 year transit of these two guys, now making a connection with Venus. It's representing your relational side. Your relationship with committed partners is going to be transformed and changed, and the cords may very well be severed karmically for you in some way. It doesn't mean that a marriage is going to end, but it can mean that your attitude to that marriage can change and be revolutionized and transformed and purged for the better at this time. And so you step out and you go forward with your relationship, your marriage, in a much healthier, more invigorated, more promising way that's going to create a whole new karmic legacy for you in the next incarnation that you have. Venus, if your natal Venus happens to fall in the 8th house, well, this energy could be triggering issues, karmic recollections of being exploited or abused, or being sexually taken for granted even. Venus in the 8th house, there might be some karmic ties there in those realms. And now with this purging process that's unfolding this week on the 10th of May, you might be able to actually release those things, those, you know, feelings of being used for your sexual, the sexual side of you, and without being seen and being valued as a unique individual in your own right. So this is a very 8th house thing. Abuse and exploitation is connected to the 8th house, and so that's when we see that happen. People who just see you as a tool for their own sick pleasure instead of somebody who with thoughts and feelings and rights and needs of one's own. So it's taking back your own power in that regard. You might get the courage to do so this week. Remember, it's coupled with this, we've also got the Moon and Mars. So if you need the courage this week to make changes, to take your power back, and to embrace your karma, not embrace your karma, to create new karma for your life, for your soul, these guys are going to give you a good hand in that. You're going to be more courageous and more brave. So I probably should have mentioned that through all these little snippets. But it's very, very important that we can use this to take our power back. Now to the 9th house, if you've got Venus there, then the issues might be relationships with people who are of an inspirational nature. So, you know, lecturers, teachers, gurus, ministers, you know, Gandhi-like people in your sphere of influence, as well as people out there in the big bad world. But Venus here is going to be asking, this connection is triggering your Venus stuff, essentially, and any karma that you've got about Venus stuff regarding inspirational figures. So, you know, let's say you were part of one of those suicide cults back in the 80s that were around, and you were, you know, you died because you were aligned to an inspirational figure who was a bit misguided and pathetic. And so there's karma there that needs to be released. So whether you realize that or not, you know, maybe what needs releasing is over-attachment to inspirational figures. Obsession is a Pluto thing. Obsession with inspirational figures instead of seeing your own divinity as worthwhile and as a source of enlightenment for you. Too much emphasis on the teacher, on the guru, on the inspirational figure who really is just another human being and no more special than you or I. So watch out for that one. You might actually be challenged, if you like, or to transform your relationship with these inspirational figures during the next week. So Venus in the 10th house, if you have that natally, then the power and control is going to be with authority figures. This is an area where, you know, there is seriously heavy duty stuff in the 10th house, because if we've had karma where an authority figure has done the dirty on us, you know, where we've experienced negativity or pressure or exploitation from an authority figure, and our relationship with someone in power over us, well, now it's time to take our power back. So this can be very confronting to do this, and it does require a lot of bravery, but you can really cut the cords at this time and purge these relational attitudes to authority figures, situations with authority figures. Maybe you've got a boss who's just not honoring you, not doing the right thing by you, taking advantage of your good, kind, generous nature, and that needs to change. So you need to get brave this week, and you need to take your own power back if such a circumstance arises. You're going to be learning to embrace your own ability to assert yourself, maybe in the workplace or in some sort of career, with this square. And these squares aren't easy, they're challenges. It's going to be hard to do this, but the result is going to be positive. You know, you are going to be able to embrace the purging and the releasing and the letting go of anything that is holding you back regarding, in this case, authority figures. Venus in the 11th house is large groups of people. So, you know, karmically, we see that there's been a lot of activity on the planet that has been dished out from large masses of people. You know, you think of The Simpsons are often portraying, you know, the whole town of Springfield rising up and delivering mass repercussions to some individual who dares to, you know, offer some differing opinion. I mean, if you're a fan of The Simpsons, you know what I mean. The mob mentality is often displayed there. But this is the 11th house, and, you know, so Venus here can indicate that there might be some need for you to assert your power or take your power back and cut karmic ties with a large group of people. That could be, you know, we see political movements there. Maybe you were aligned to a communist party and that really didn't do you any favors in the past. And so you need to let that group mentality go so that you can be free to move forward and create a new karmic future for yourself. Maybe you need to take your power back in terms of standing up as an individual rather than being part of the herd that just does stuff. And then, you know, many people who were part of the Nazi party in Germany then went on, you know, in the subsequent years after the war to say, you know, that it was just everybody was doing it and they were like sheep, you know, that just joined in without actually having a thought process of this is wrong, this is right, you know, whether they truly did align with it. So now it's about standing up, being an individual, having some power and control over what you really do believe and what you really do think regarding politics or humanitarian causes or any other social interaction with peers as well. You can take your power back now and purge that karma from past life experiences relationally to the group, to the mob, to the not the collective, but the social group. And finally, Venus, if Venus is in your 12th house in whole sign astrology, it's just karma, karma, karma for you guys. So relationship karma, yes. Connection, you might very well, you guys, I think, are the ones who may have someone from a past life cross your path again this week. And it might be someone relationally of a you know, lover kind of a nature, or a husband-wife kind of a relationship that from a past life that you just might flit across your path, and where something needs to be resolved, something needs to be set straight, something needs to be forgiven and let go of. That could really happen for you guys this week. It's a very powerful influence, and that for you guys is probably the most likely scenario. You will, from that encounter, be likely to take back your personal power again. And it's not in a nasty way. When we say taking back our personal power, it's not like we're making those people less than, and like they're down here and we suddenly rise up here more powerful, more in control, more dominant. That's not what this is about. It's about making things leveled up, you know. I see you for who you are, and I know who I am, and I embrace my self-worth, and I do not allow myself to be downtrodden anymore. That's what it means to take personal power back. We are no longer subdued, downtrodden, exploited, and maligned. So it's a time where we can rise to the challenge, and square aspects provide challenge. We can rise to the challenge of doing that and becoming more in tune with who our soul really wants us to be as we rise up the evolutionary ladder of our soul's journey, so to speak. So that's what I'm seeing playing out for this week. I hope this has given some insight and some enlightenment. I hope it helps you on your journey, and I look forward to sharing with you next week what else is playing out in the skies, especially in relationship to this lovely little combo here that we're dancing with for most of this year. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you again next week.